Hey there, welcome back to Manitic Stringworks. So, today on the workbench we have this guitar. This is a John Page Classic Ashburn electric guitar. It's a left-hand version, of course. I have not had one of these in the shop before. Very nice. You know, Stratocaster-esque styling with a few different features. You can see this lower horn here especially, but it's here for a setup, a couple of little issues, so let's have a look. So this guitar is the Ashburn model by John Page Classic Guitars. Has a unique headstock, very cool, maple neck, oversized. Well, I don't say that, I guess the dots aren't oversized, they're just placed on the bass side, the top, which is actually a more practical spot to have fret markers. You can see them better when you're playing. All the way down, so we have 15, 17, 19, 21, 22 frets. 3 single coil pickups. These are Bloodline JP1s, I believe. I'll look on the website. And here's something that's a little interesting. So this is left hand, so again, you have to think of in the right hand version perhaps. But notice the slant of the bridge pickup. On a Stratocaster, it goes the other way. So you notice how it's further away on the treble side here. Well, it's the other way on a Strat. I'll show you. But don't get confused. This is a right hand now. So the bass side, you can see the angle is further away from the bridge than the treble side. So this is a standard Strat configuration, and the Ashburn is the opposite. Pretty cool. So what's the difference, you might ask? Well, perhaps you get a bit more of the lower register because the pickup is a little further away from the bridge. You know, on the first string, second string. It's up to your ear to decide, right? So we have a floating trem. The owner wants me to have a look at that. Now the controls, we have just a volume and a tone, no push pulls or anything, and there's a standard 5-way switch. Let's have a quick look at the back. Okay, so here's our cover, their trim block access, 4 bolts here. Or large screws with the washers. I like this configuration. I mean, the plates are nice because you can put a logo and stuff, but these just seem sturdier to me. Bit of a shaped neck here. Good contour. Very smooth neck. And these are Goto vintage style tuners. This guitar is made in Japan. So you might have noticed the body shape. Again, similar to a Strat, but this shorter horn right here especially. And it has nice contouring going on. Nice guitar, solid, well built, not too heavy. So, put this, I like the push-in trim bars too. A little easier. And I'll put jack on the side. Alright, so why is it here? Well, we're going to get some new strings. These are 9 to 42s. And the owner left me a few comments here. Action feels high. Okay, well, we'll check that. The nut is unglued. Whoa. It is unglued. Okay, well, that's an easy enough fix. The truss rod feels very stiff. He's afraid it might be stripped. Well, we'll see. And the tension on the trem springs, he wants me to basically lock it down. He doesn't use the trem very often, if at all. Certainly he's not going to use it to sharpen the notes, so we're going to tighten those springs right down, make this pretty much a hardtail. Okay, well, let's get started. Okay, well, where do we get started? Well, we're going to start by plugging it in and seeing. Oh, jeez. Lefty guitar. Wake up, wake up. There we go. We're plugged in. see what we got. Fourth position is good. Now the owner didn't say there were any issues with the electronics, so that's good to know. It's not in tune. Sorry about that. Okay, that seems to work. Let's check the output. Okay, we're going to measure the resistance of the pickups. So we have the ground of the multimeter on the barrel of the output jack, and the tip has the hot lead from the multimeter. Of course, we're plugged into the guitar. Leave that here. Move that out of the way. Okay, so here we are at the neck, showing 6.07. Now, their website shows 6.38 for the neck. 6.38, so again, it's exactly the same, these two. And the bridge, a little hotter, so 7.38 on the website. So this one's 7. So just a little bit less resistance than what they're posting, but could be age, that kind of thing, could be the circuitry, but there you go. Okay, I was just trying to tune up the guitar, and it's not going to stay in tune because this this bridge, the spring tension is way too loose. So first things first, I'm going to remove the trim arm. We're going to flip this over, and I'm going to tighten up those strings, suck them right in. I'll take this cover off and leave it off till the setup's complete. Okay, so we have a standard claw trim block situation. 3 springs. They don't feel crazy tight, rigid. I am going to loosen the strings up, so detune it a bit, because we are going to be tightening that claw right up. So it's going to give a little bit of slack. Okay, so it's already decked down because we have less tension on the claw. So I'm going to get in there, and I usually like to make a little mark, just sort of where I'm starting here, right there, just with a pencil. And it just gives me an idea if I'm actually moving the thing or not. So you want to get these screws equidistant. So I'm going to start on one side to the other. I'm going to keep going. Now, because I want a lot of tension on these springs, I'm going to suck this claw in quite a bit. Okay, well that's as good as it's going to go, I think. Well, I've got about a little over 1/4 inch. We're going to have to see if that's enough tension to prevent this bridge from popping up. Okay, I've tuned it up. And that's not going anywhere. Now I should be able to still flatten out the strings, right? Just a little bit, yeah. So, but I can't go the other way. So, that's good. Well, you don't see this angle too often on my workbench. I've turned it around. Be a little easier to work on. So we're going to measure the neck relief. So first fret, put a capo. I like to see between 8 and 10 thousandths at the 7th fret. So I'm going to hold down the string at the last fret, 10 thousandths feeler gauge. Yeah, it's not even close to touching. And I like to support the neck like right about there. It's sort of in the middle of the neck. So I find that's the spot that you're not going to get any real deflection at all. Here's 12 thousandths. Just barely touching. So I'd like to see a little more relief in this neck. And just check the string height. So I'm going to treat this like a fender. So at the 17th fret, I want to see 4/64ths, which is, you know, about 1.6 millimeters. So using my string height gauges, which you can purchase at magneticstringworks.com. Also a pickup height gauge there, comes in a set. You can buy the little base as well. So 4/64ths, I'm just going to check and see. There's a little bit of bounce. Not too bad. I don't think 5 will slide under there, so here's 5/64ths. No. So that's what I like about these gauges, is I can see and hear. Definitely. So, you know, they're set up somewhere in between 4 and 5/64ths. So we're going to equalize that to 4/64ths in the setup. Okay, so that's not too bad. I will check the action at the first fret, or the nut action. Again, I like to see 18 to 20 thousandths. So here's an 18 thousandth feeler gauge. Oh, that's good. I can hear it scraping. So you check, I put the feeler under, and there's really no bounce going on. That's pretty good. You can also just check by feel, press the 3rd, go along. So that's good. You know, I'd say this is probably around 16 thousandths. I can check that here. Here's a 16. Yeah, it's just sliding under nicely. So that's set up well. You can also ring the string. Yeah, so it's between 16 and 18, so that's pretty good. I like that. All right, truss rod. That's something we need to check. So the owner was concerned that maybe he had over tightened or stripped something out, but I suspect there's a dual action truss rod in this guitar, and that sometimes, you know, worries people because they're like, hey, how come this thing's still turning, or it's not turning, or it's loose? But we need to take out some of the relief. There's a little too much in here, so we want to go clockwise. It's a left-hand guitar, doesn't change anything with the truss rod. Now, I've got a selection here of 4mm wrenches, T-bars, X keys. That's a little short. I don't think that's going to get in there. Again, if you're worried about stripping something out, you make sure you have the right size hex key. Well, that fit really nice, actually. It's nicely fitted in there, and then you just give it a try, right? So I'm gonna see if I can turn this. We want to tighten it a bit, right? So we want to go to the right. Whoop, there's that nut that's moving in. Let me loosen these strings. Now, I prefer the leverage you get with a shorter Allen key like this and a stubby sort of wrench. These ones with the ball end, so these T-handles are nice, you can get in there, but if you're worried about that nut being, you know, the truss rod nut being stripped, don't use a ball end. I'll just keep rounding it out. So I think I'll continue with this one, but I am going to loosen the string so I can get some access here. I'll just loosen these up a little bit. Now I should be able to get in there for a little better turn. Yeah, I can do both sides. So I'm pretty sure this is working fine. Just gotta make sure you have the right Allen key. Yeah, and I think it's in a neutral position there. That's why the owner wasn't sure. Yeah, see, like, that's pretty much nothing going on right now. So we want to get it so that it starts to engage. It's starting to tighten up. There we go. That tightened up. So it's offering some resistance now. So it's working. There we go. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I've tightened it about a quarter turn totally. And I'll check that. We'll tune it up. Alright, got the capo back on at the first. We'll hold down the last fret. And I'm going to use 8/1000 at the 7th fret. It's just scraping. Will the 10 get under there? Yeah, so I might have introduced a little more, I won't put more neck relief in there, tighten it up a little too much, but that's okay. We know it works, so can always come back in and again go counterclockwise. So when you're looking at it, right, you go to the left. So I'll do that once the strings are off. I might just give it a little turn. All right, let's get those strings off. Well, like any Strat, I do like to cut the strings down here. Just makes them easier to pull through. I gotta get some new pliers. They're very good. There we go. Sure they're not under the guitar. Cool. Well, now's a good time to do a little dusting. Get under those strings. I like to just use a nylon paintbrush. Get these at the dollar store, nothing fancy. And maybe use a microfiber cloth. Just go over everything a bit. It's hard to get that grime off, or the dust even, just when you're under the strings. Okay, cool. Well, there's hardly any fretwear. In fact, I don't see any fretwear. The owner did say he hasn't really played this too much, so I'll just give it a quick little polish with the fret erasers. But we do want to glue this nut back. Okay, well, I'm going to glue this back in, and I like to use wood glue, just regular wood glue. I prefer to CA glue or super glue, crazy glue, whatever you want to call it. Just a couple of little dabs, not much. That might even be too much, to be honest. Here, I'm going to take a swab here. Just take some of that out. I just want enough to say it's being held in there. But that's it, you know. There we go. And then that way in the future, you know, inevitably, if this guitar gets played a bit, the nut can just pop right out. So I have to remember it's a left-hand guitar too. Treble slots over here. All right, I'm going to push that back in. A little bit of squeeze out there. Just push it in deep. Make sure it's right in all the way. There we go. Okay, I'll let that sit for 20 minutes, half an hour. This is Gorilla Glue, and it's very tacky and sets up pretty quick. But I prefer this glue for most applications. And because it's not really great to glue plastic, that's even better, because that means when you need to pop this out, it'll pop out. But it will hold it in place, so. Alright. Okay, well, because these frets are pretty clean and hardly used, I'm just going to use a 400 and 1000 on them. They're not going to need much. Again, these fret erasers are great as cleaners and light polishing, so by no means a fret polishing job you can do with these, but really cleans them up, gets the grime off them, and in a pinch especially. But no, they work well enough. Okay, little debris away, which is mostly the rubber fret. Let's see, can you see a difference? I think so. It's pretty amazing, really. I mean, the frets were really clean first, like, you know, a little bit of grime, but not much. Fretboard looks in pretty good shape too. I'll just give that a quick wash. Simple green, anybody? This has a very satin finish on it. It's not a natural finish. It is a urethane. So I saw a little bit of dirt here and there. There we go. And again, microfiber wipe. Nice. Looking a lot better. Okay, I'll let that sit a little longer. Let me get this strung up.